almost drowned over the summer. His best friend tried to drown him. What has happened? Nothing.
Well, that's a scary situation.
So, I mean, other than pulling my kids out and homeschooling them, I mean, I don't know where to turn to next. I mean, I also have a 12-year-old, and I've got a 3-year-old. I don't want to send my 3-year-old to school.
No, I understand. I really understand your frustration. That would be very difficult, and you're right. It did happen not in school.
Right.
So, yeah, the school system really...
No, there's nothing they can do. But, you know, when I contact an officer and the officer tells me, yes, your child has been victimized. You know, he doesn't deserve this. He deserves to be in a safe environment.
Right.
And, you know, the officer tells me, I assure you, something will be done. He's done everything he can do. He takes it to the prosecuting attorney for her to say, I have bigger fish to fry. I ain't got time to worry about it.
Well, you're doing everything right legally. You are working the legal system, and eventually something will have to happen.
Not until we get a new prosecuting attorney.
Just try to be patient. I know it's hard, but try to be patient, because I really believe the legal course that you're taking, it will force the hand that it's going to have to, there's going to have to be some action taken.
Well, this is the same woman who has a 59-page complaint against her in Charleston for the same thing. Failure to do her job that she makes $92,000 a year to do. Give me $92,000. I'll make sure to sign whatever paper needs signed and give it to whoever it needs given to. You know, I get up at 11:30 at night. I go to work at midnight and sit from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning, answering 911 calls, sending ambulances where they need to go. And I don't make no $92,000 a year. I don't make $25,000. So I don't understand what the problem is. All she has to do at this point in time is to pick up the paperwork and hand it to the process server. She don't have to sign nothing. She don't have to fill out nothing. She don't have to turn the computer on. She don't have to do anything. But when I call her office, oh, she's busy. She's not here. When I go to her office, oh, she's busy. Yeah, she's in her office digging in her pocketbook for a gum wrapper. That's what she's doing.
Well, I really appreciate you coming this evening and sharing this with us. It is important, and it does show that there's still a lot of work to be done as far as the legal system, you know, is concerned. I know the officers do. We were talking just a few minutes ago that when they get involved, it usually ends pretty quickly, and it doesn't usually have to go that far. But your son has been assaulted.
Yes.
You know, so that's. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Just keep using the legal system, and it will eventually, you know, somebody's hand's going to have to be forced to take some action. Be patient. I know it's hard. I'm sure. I can't imagine. I can't.
Well, it's hard when I have to look at a boy who is autistic and is almost 16 years old and tell him, no, you can't go to school and be with your friends and, you know, hang out and do that kind of stuff because of everything that's happened to you. And it was so bad that he actually went to the dean of students at the high school and told him that he needed some help because he was thinking about committing suicide, and he got sent to a mental institution for 9 days. You know, because he was at that point, he was so traumatized by everything that happened to him, and for Dr. Price to tell me, too bad.
I know it seems like he's kind of being the one punished because he's happened to be the one to stay out of school.
Right.
You know, and
well, like I said, he is autistic. We have him on a specialized program at the high school because of the problems he does have. He needs what schooling he can get. You know.
Oh, sure. And the social interaction.
Right. Well, like I said, he has such a learning disability that he really needs the one-on-one, 8 hours a day, learning how to add, subtract, multiply, divide. You know, he's a freshman in high school. You know, it still has problem adding and subtracting. And you know, now he gets 4 to 6 hours a week at the library. 4 to 6 hours a week.
You just hang in there. I really feel that it will run its course, and you've got a lot of good support here. I'm sure you do in the community have a lot of good support behind you. Use that support. I wish I had, legally, I wish I knew more, but I don't. I wish I did. You know, you've already exhausted the officers' knowledge, right?
Right.
And what they can do for you.
Right. They've done everything they can.
Yeah. So.
I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing more than an officer can do.
Yeah. Just stay the course. Stay the course. And finally, I just have some different websites here that I will tell you that this one, the thankyouno.com, there is actually a application there that you can report abuse there. Okay? You can report it on Facebook, and they will take that person's Facebook page away. They will, but they can create another one under a different name. And then, you know, it just keeps going. But you can report it, and they will take that person's user privileges away. But thankyouno.com is an app or a website that you can go to with an application to report abuse as well. You guys, do you have any other questions or anything I can help you with? I do have, like I said, some information to help you if your child is being cyberbullied, to explain to them how to download material off Facebook and how to report abuse and all of those things. So I will give you those.
Kara, if you can just kind of run down, if a parent is at home and their child says, Mom, Dad, come look what she's writing there, he's writing there. And I mean, some of these instant messages we know can get pretty nasty.
Yes.
What step does, okay, and you kind of alluded to it, first thing we should do is call maybe that parent.
Yes, that's
we
the
know
first
that
thing.
some you can and some you can't.
Right.
What would be the next step that they would need to do if they're seeing that with their child?
First thing I would do is contact the parent,
Okay.
and you may or may not get anywhere with that. The second thing I would do was go to the school, because these children are most likely in school together. And you want to alert you of what's going on so you can keep an eye on it, make sure it's not disrupting your atmosphere here at school, because if it is, then you have some recourse.
Yeah, and a lot of times they can say anything they want on the computer and they come face to face in our hallways.
Yeah.
It's the first time they see each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree.
And you definitely have to know.
What would be the next step, per se? I mean, would it go
Right
to
there.
law enforcement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Law enforcement would be your next step.
And you would need to make sure that you had everything printed off and saved and said,
Yes.
here is what. Now, does it, whenever they save this information printed off, does it have the whole conversation back and forth, or does it have just one side?
No, it'll have the whole conversation, and that's important, because that's what he will want to know is,
Yeah.
did you say anything to start this and so forth. But it makes his job a lot easier to have all of that, all those documents, that documentation makes it a whole lot easier for him. And it will help you in the long run, your child in the long run. But first, go to the parents, and I would still, even though you went to the parents, I would go to your school principal and let him know what's happening, so he can keep an eye out and make sure that it's not coming into the school and affecting them at school. And then if it still doesn't help, they need to go to the law enforcement. And report it on Facebook. If it's on Facebook or something like that, report it immediately. And they'll take their privileges away.
Okay, now from the school standpoint, let's say that a parent does come and say, hey, and we've had quite a few parents call us and say, something's going down on Facebook, please watch out.
Yeah.
And we have a conversation with those, and a lot of times we don't get those printed messages.
Yeah.
And let's say that we, under everything we can do, cannot get it to stop at home, per se.
Yeah.
What do we need to do? Do we need to contact police and say, hey, we've got this issue, we've got it confined here to school, but it's still going on at home?
If
That's still something
it's
we need.
disrupting your educational atmosphere, you can do that. If it's coming into school and you're worried that they're going to be fighting or they're getting harassed or bullied here, you have to, according to safe
Yeah.
schools.
Right, but once again, if you have a prosecuting attorney who won't do anything, it's really a waste of time.
But I think we still got to.
Yeah.
And it's still trying to make that happen, because if in your case, if it doesn't get handled, and the 20 days and the 20 days and the 20 days, someone's finally going to say, hey, what's going on? And if that paperwork's in line, then they can move it.
Yeah.
And I think Kara's right on that. And
I
really
just think
hate-
you need to stay the course, because it's,
That's right. Well, I know there was 3 students up at the high school that they were all on probation, and 2 of them were over the age of 18, and they just walked off from school, and a lady from the board office, contacted the prosecuting attorney for her to say, I got bigger fish to fry, I ain't worried about it.
Can't you get a lawyer to come in on this?
especially with you having a child with special needs,
Right.
you have your child advocacy people.
I've talked to him, he's done
To
3
appoint you a
forensic
lawyer to do
interviews.
something with this?
Not until Donna Price. I've got to give her so many days to answer our complaint.
Another thing, Florence, technically, he's a minority. This could be considered a hate crime. If you think about it, this could be federal instead of state crime also. It's definitely a state crime. It could be both. It's two ways to look at it. So if you get anyone to pick it up, come up to the federal prosecutor, the federal district attorney, that helps.
Well, with this new law that just got passed, is there anything with that that can help in her situation?
No, you mean the Jason, no. It's on suicide prevention, not bullying.
Now, isn't that law doesn't, I heard something on the radio today. If you know a child that's considering suicide, you are required by law to try to report it to some
Yes,
another child.
yes.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, and, especially in the school system, if a student would come to a teacher or the cook or anything and say, I'm thinking about it, and they don't report it, that's bad. I don't think that ever happens, thank goodness. I think teachers, they're here because they want to work with children, they care about them, and they want what's best for them, so they would report that very quickly.
All school personnel is mandatory reporters when it's about child abuse or neglect.
Any illegal activity.
Yes, yes.
Anybody in a position of trust.
Yeah.
School teachers, doctors, anything like that.
And it's not easy sometimes, because that student comes to you, because I've had it happen to me before, and they come to you because they can trust you. They think they can trust you and talk to you, and that's all fine. But at the end, I stop them right at the beginning. I said, okay, I want you to continue talking to me about this, but I have to let you know right now, I do have to report this. So I don't want you coming back at me tomorrow and getting mad at me or whatever you need to do. I'm telling you, it has to be reported because I care about you and I have to. It's the law. So they do sometimes get mad because they want to trust you, and sometimes they're not.